Hey there, everyone. Daniel Lowrie with Antisyphon Training, back with another episode in our virtualization series. Today, it's all about networking. That's right. I say we get right to it. We don't waste any time. How about that, right? Let's get to it. First thing we need to do is take a look at how we work with the networks inside of your host through the hypervisor, which is VMware Workstation Pro in this instance. And to do that, we're going to go over to the Edit button. Click that and then find that virtual network editor. Oh, it looks so good. It's right there. Click that. It's going to ask you to authenticate. Put your passwords in. Let's see here. Can I remember how to do that? No. And then there's that and that. And that should work for me. Hopefully you got yours typed in as well. And that gives us a plethora of different types of networking capabilities that we might want to work with in our VMs. So what's going on here, right? Well, we've got a couple of different options available to us, right? We've got what looks like VMnet 0, we've got VMnet 1, VMnet 8, and VMnet 10. Now, if you've done a default install of VMware Workstation Pro, you're probably not seeing that VMnet 10, and we will get to that, okay? That's a custom network that I made. I'm gonna show you how to make those as well. But we gotta start with the beginning, right? Like, what are the ones that are there by default? That's that VMnet 0, VMnet 1, and VMnet 8, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's jump back and take a look. So VMnet 0, this is a bridged network, and you can see that it says bridged right around that region, saying that, hey, connect VMs directly to an external network. This is my favorite way of actually connecting, because most of the VMs that I create actually need not only access to the internet, but they need access to my internal network as well. So if you have your home network that you use, like you got your laptop, maybe you've got some other devices that are connected, and you want your VM to be a part of that network, bridged is going to be the best way to go. At least it has been in my experience. That's how you're going to want to rock and roll with that, because it gives an IP that is directly connected to that network. And it's like you're just another host in the system. And that's what we like, right? That's the fun of it. Typically for me, that's what I'm looking for. Now that we understand what a bridge network is, basically giving you that access to your standard network, how is it doing that? Well, it's doing it through the host network interface, right? So you've got a host adapter, your network interface card. For me, I've got a couple of them. I've got this ENP1S0, and I've got WLP2S0. I've got both a wireless device and a wired adapter as well. So I could connect to my network in one of two ways. And that's what we're seeing here, because we see this thing that says bridged to, and it says automatic, right? Well, what is that? What is that saying? It's saying, hey, you know what? Find a good network automatically. I don't want to put my hands on the wheel, and then connect to it. But if I want to change that, if I say, you know what, it is through that wired adapter that I want connectivity through, then I'm going to need to choose that. Or maybe I want to use the wireless adapter. That's the specific adapter I wish to use. Then I can just come in here and make those changes. We also have this automatic settings, right? It says automatically bridge to one of these host network adapters. So I can come in here and kind of create a list of the adapters that are available of what I want it to be able to automatically connect to, and uncheck the ones that I don't want to try to automatically connect to. So if I had 5 different network adapters here for whatever crazy reason, I can maybe have 1 or 2 that I don't want to try to connect with. I just uncheck those, and then the others will be available for that automatic option. Otherwise, I'm just going to come in here and manually say, this is the one I want. I want ENP1SO or, ETH-O or whatever the case is. You choose that adapter, you know your system. Okay, so there we go. That is the idea behind Bridge. Bridge works well. And like I said, if you're working in that, I want this VM to connect with all my other normal devices that I typically work with, get that IP so it's on that same network, that's the way you're going to fly. But it's not the only game in town. As we've seen, VMnet 1 was a NAT adapter, right? We saw, oh, I'm sorry, this was VMnet 8, it's not VMnet 1. I'm gonna jump over 1 and go straight to 8 for NAT. This is the network address translation style, right? We got a couple of options going on here. And there is some that did not show up as clickable options. You'll see they're grayed out here, like use DHCP, service to distribute IP addresses to VMs, connect to the host virtual adapter VMnet 0. Those weren't connected. But if I click down here, all of a sudden these options come alive. Now, why is that? Well, it's because you've got NAT happening, right? So you got network address translation, where you're basically translating your private IP address with the host's IP address so that it can access things for you in a way. You have a translation table, it does a lookup, it changes out, it kind of works as your intermediary, as it were. Not trying to get in too deep into NAT, but that's one of the ways you can do it. And a lot of devices work this way, works totally fine, but it does change our options. As we see, we can use this local DHCP service to distribute IP addresses. Aha. So VMware has its own DHCP option that we can enable, and it is enabled by default. Of course, you can uncheck that if you have your own DHCP server that you want to use, but this is probably what you're going to go with most likely if you're using this option, and is the default. We also have connect a host virtual adapter VMNet to this network. So I'm going to connect a host virtual adapter to this network. Cool. It's going to give it a subnet IP of 192.168.204 something. .0, that's why there. And you got the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Yeah, I did 3 255s. I think that's right. There we go. And it does say if you want to, you can leave this blank to automatically select an unused subnet IP. So if you blank this out, it will generate one and automatically select something that's not being used. Okay, cool. A lot of like hands off the wheel kind of stuff happening here. And that's cool. Oh, I accidentally unchecked that. No, I want that. Right? So if I connect a device, a VM, to this NAT network, it's going to get this 192.168.204 something addressed with the subnet mask that this DHCP service will dole out. Cool. That's great. But what about this thing over here, NAT settings? What's going on over there? This gives us the ability to do a very important function, which is port forwarding. Ooh, I like port forwarding. Port forwarding makes my life a little bit easy, because what I can do is I can kind of bridge the gap between two different networks. I've got a 192.168.1 something network, and I've got a 192.168. What do we have? 204 something network, right? Those are different. If you have the same subnet mask, those are completely different networks. That third octet in your IP address there, that 1 or 204, makes those things different. And that subnet mask is what tells you that those are different networks. They're not the same. If I want them to talk, I got to have something that can talk to both of these things and then kind of shovel information back and forth. Usually a router is what does that. But we've got virtual machines and we got port forwarding going on. How do we make this work? Okay, well, let's see here. Let's say I've got, I don't know, a Kali machine. And I believe I've got the IPs correctly squared away here. And I want to add some port forwarding. So I'm going to hit add. I'm going to click that add button. And I'm going to say the host port is going to be, and you'll notice we got host port here. We got what type. So is it going to be a TCP or UDP connection? We got a virtual machine address and the virtual machine port that we're going to be working with. So what is the host port? I'm going to go 22,000, right? Because I'm going to do some SSH port forwarding. And this is going to allow us to SSH into a network we're not directly connected to, right? It is TCP. The virtual machine IP address that I want to be able to connect to is going to be 192.168.204.129 if I'm got all my notes in order. And the port I want to connect to is going to be port 22. I can give it a description, call it SSH, and there we go. I hit save. Cool beans, right? Everything looks good. We'll get to this, and don't worry about this advanced stuff right now. This is well beyond the scope of this episode. And honestly, this is not even something I don't think I've ever even had to work with. So it's a very specific edge case for why you would need to get into this advanced section. So we're just going to skip it. I don't want to get you too far into the weeds anyway. All right, I'm going to click the old save button. because I like saving my settings. And now I should have port forwarding turned on. Let's see if all that works. So I'm gonna save again, because again, saving things is good. And let's log into this Kali machine here. And I've got a terminal. Yes, hello. I disconnected. This network has been disconnected. That's fun. Let's see if we can't fix that, shall we? Let's get a new terminal open here. My terminal froze up on me a little bit there. But let's do IP-BR-CA. Hello, I must have did that wrong. Yes, I did. I missed my C. There we go. And there it is. There's the IP address of this Kali machine. And remember, that's what we're port forwarding to. Now, if I do, what is it? Sudo, system ctl status sshd, ask me for the password. You can see I am running SSH. The default port for SSH service is 22. So I should be going from port 22,000 of this local host, which is this. That's not what I want. I don't need to. All my browsers are open. Yes, I can close all of these things. There we go. IP-BR-CA. And there it is. I'm on 192.168.1.91. I'm also connected to the 204 network. I could directly connect to that Kali machine from here because this is directly connected to that network. But it's also directly connected to this .1.9.1 network. So 192.168.1 and 91 is its host portion. Cool. And this port 22,000 is what's going to allow for the connection between multiple machines. Let's go back to VMware here. I got Windows 11 Pro up and running. If I bring up a terminal, and let's see here, once that gets rocking and rolling, that looks interesting and fun. I think I can blow that up for us. And let's say I do IP config, right? I can see that I, on this Windows 11 machine, am also on this 192.168.1 network. It's not connected. I can do IP config /all. I am not connected in any way to that 204 network, right? The only IPv4 address that I have is that one, which is on that .1 network. So I should not be able to SSH into that Kali machine. So if I try, if I SSH into Kali at 192.168.204.129, I should get an error. I should get like a timeout. We're going to sit here and wait for forever and a day, and nothing's going to happen, right? It's just going to eventually error out. It shouldn't take too much longer. I'll let it cook and do its thing. Come on, you can do it. It's taking forever. It's taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but it eventually will. It will time out on us, and there it goes. Finally, timeout, connection timeout, right? Because you see it on port 22. Okay, but what if we try something different? We go a little bit different route, right? We use that port forwarding ability. And we say Kali at, and I give it a different IP, which is the IP address of this Linux Mint machine, this guy right here. I give it that IP address. Let's see what happens. 192.168.1.91. And then I need to use the -P option to tell it what port, which is 22,000. Hit enter. Oh, look at this. I now have it asking for a password. Excellent. Type it. Oh, and look again. We now have access to that Kali machine, IP-BR-CA. And I see the IP address is 204. That is the port forwarding capabilities in those NAT networks. So a really big pro for wanting to go with maybe a NAT network. And you can still have access using some port forwarding for specific services that are on a different network in your environment. Very, very cool, right? I know I like it. I'm a big fan, actually. This is a lot of fun to do stuff like this. And it's really cool to see how networking works practically in real life. All right, let's move on though, right? We got more to go because remember, there was another one. There was another one called host only. What does that look like? All right, let's get back to it. I'll have to go to edit again, go back to the virtual network editor, go ahead and authenticate. We do this, we do that, a little bit of this. and then some of that, and then, yeah, I like that. Feels good. And yet it was wrong. Let me try again. Oh, there we go. I think that was better. There it is. I can type my own password from time to time. All right, so we had that because remember, we skipped over it. It was VMnet 1. Good old VMnet 1. What are you doing over there? It's called host only. Now you can see this says host only, connect VMs internally in a private network. So basically what we're doing is this is almost like a sandboxed environment. Actually, I think that would be a great way of putting it. It is a sandboxed environment. Only this host and this VM are connected. It's host only. So that's the only thing this VM can connect to is this host. Now, other VMs that share this host only network can also connect to each other. So you kind of create your own VM. Again, sandbox, right? You're creating an environment within the environment. It's like a Matryoshka doll. It's a lot of fun. Right? The Russian nesting dolls, right? So a doll inside of a doll, inside of a doll, inside of a doll. That's only one layer deep, but you get the idea. And you can see we do get some of these same options that we saw with NAT, like use the local DHCP service. We don't have to. We can uncheck that if we're going to create a device that's on this network that will be doling out DHCP. That's up to us. And then connect a host virtual adapter VMnet 1 to this network, and it gives the IP address. Same kind of thing that we saw with the NAT network, right? No big deal. This one, it chose 149. We also have this MTU, which I've just this is the maximum transmission unit, just one of the little things I'll throw on the heap. Typically, I think the default is 1500, and that is standard for most regular networks as well. It's just a standard thing. But if you ever need to change this for whatever reason, and there are cases that might be what you need to do, you can come in here and set this to whatever that MTU needs to be. That would be, again, another edge case thing. But I just wanted to point it out that it's there, and you might need to be able to fiddle with that from time to time. It's not going to be often, though. Let me just put it out there. There you go. With host only, I can now have that kind of squared away sandbox network that only talks to each other and they don't talk to the outside world at all. No internet access from here. Whereas with NAT, I would be able to access the internet as well. So you kind of see it's working layers deep, right? So with Bridge, you start with complete and unfettered regular network connectivity. Then you go to NAT where it's like, well, I've created my own network, but I still have access to your network. So I can get to things like the internet because I'm using network access translation to create a translation table. You look up where things need to go. There's a little bit more complexity to it, but I have my network, but we can still access your network. And then we bring it down to the bottom level, which is host only network. It's the only things I can talk to are the things within this network. I know it seems like a lot, but hopefully if you just are following the bouncing ball, each one should make sense to you. And then you can utilize them as you need for your own purposes. One size fits one solution. I'm just giving you the options and telling you how they work so that you can make that right informed decision. One last thing I want to do before we go, real quick. You'll notice I had that VMnet 10, which is just a custom network. You might want to create your own custom networks. And you do that by hitting Add Network. Then you come in here and you give it a name. I'm going to call this one VMnet 11. I like to go high. That's my fun. And then you choose what type of network you want it to be. Do I want it to be bridged? Do I want it to be NATs? Do I want it to be host only? So I'll just call this like a host only one. And then I'll click add. And now I can come down here and make all these connection settings that I like the subnet IP. I can make this like a 172.16.32. Ooh, not 232. 32.0. Like that. I can change the subnet mask. Maybe I want this to be a little bit like that action. That's cool. I click save. The IP and subnet mask or mismatch. Okay, that's fine. I think it likes 255. I think it's just a big fan of that. There you go. I saved it. I got my own network. I can actually go back to the editor, which is going to make me re-authenticated. We know how much trouble I have with that. There it is. There it is. And now it's saved. There it is. Got it, bada bing. VMnet 11, right? I'm done with it. I don't like this network. Garbage. Remove network. Simple as that. Don't forget to hit save or it'll be back when you come back. So you got to save that. And then things close out. And oh my goodness, that was fun. We did some networking. Hopefully you understand a bit about how each of those networks work so you can apply them to your environments and work inside of making tests and VM environments for like home labs and things of that nature. Lots and lots of fun. I do thank you for watching this episode. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe and do all the YouTubey things below so that you do not miss out, and hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss when we release new videos and series and all sorts of fun stuff because we're constantly working on those things. And follow us on our socials. We'd love to see you there. Interact with us. We like to engage with you, the viewer. That said, looks like that's it for today. More to come, and until next time, have a great day.